Welcome to Kulik Family Farm. Today we are freeze drying a plethora of foods. I will put a link to Harvest Right freeze dryers in the description box below. What'd you make?
Potatoes? Well, I mean, I didn't make them. I sliced them. Can I do it now? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Loose up. Yep.
All right, we're gonna do a cleaning of the Harvest Right freeze dryer. First, we're gonna pull off the seal. Get that clean. We're gonna pull out the tray holder. We've never done this before. There it is.
Let me zoom in here. Right there. Want me to
Clip.
do it?
Yeah, you know how to do it?
No.
And push down, and pull it out.
Okay, then we gotta clean the inside too.
I feel bad, but it's really warm.
Well, that's because it was defrosted.
Make sure there's nothing in that drain plug too. Is this one clean too?
That one's just water. Damn it, are you? Wiperoo.
Such a dork.
Okay.
Did you see that? They got heating elements on every top of this.
Well, that's because there's a button that you can press that says warm trays. Because after you do
That's it.
a freeze drying cycle, it
Alright. Let's smell this.
if you don't take the trays out right away, it freezes them. Amazing.
What are you doing?
Trying to hold this. I'm not helping at all.
Alright.
How was this before, do you know?
It's just in there.
Just so it's not pinched,
Pretty much.
blocking the drain. Okay, you want to make sure that's level. 'Cause sometimes I put liquids on the trays. Put your gasket back on.
Put your gasket back on.
I cleaned it already.
Top to bottom on it.
Kids are screaming. Awesome.
There you go. Done. Oil
Make
looks
sure
good.
it's
clear.
It said in the instructions it said to make sure that you unplug your freeze dryer before you do the cleaning process, just because you're dealing with the electrical plug at the back of the tray holder. Greg built me this elevated holder for my Harvest Right because we were having a trouble with this drain plug on the side. It wasn't draining properly because we were having to go against gravity up into the bucket. So now that the Harvest Right freeze dryer is elevated, we're draining a lot better. Yep.
All right. So the large Harvest Right freeze dryer has a dedicated 20 amp circuit, which requires a 20 amp plug. And it just You can also do 15 amp in here too, but this is a dedicated 20 amp circuit just for this freeze dryer. And that's really all there is to talk about.
All right.
Plug that's in a house.
The other sizes?
Yeah.
The other size freeze dryers are standard plugs.
Yeah.
Got it. He wants some of those ones. With some soda. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's a problem. I stacked these, and this one was gooey yet. I guess we'll be perhaps reviewing them. So this is what they look like when they're fresh. This is what they look like after one cycle, but these weren't completely dry. They're still pretty sticky. Hence this one came off of here. So I'm putting these in for a second round. I already have my drain valve closed. I don't know if you can read this, but it says load food into freeze dryer, close drain valve, do not mix frozen with non-frozen foods. Continue, and we're at freezing. It's a yucky rainy day outside today, and I'm trying to get some indoor things done so I don't have to be out in the kind of cold rainy yuck. But today we're trying something new with the freeze dryer. We did a batch of apples and oranges, and those are all done, and the freeze dryer has been defrosted, so we're ready to put something new in. So here's what we are working on today. I have all of these green beans left over from 2021's garden, and apparently green beans were not a huge hit with my family. But I have read that if you freeze dry pre-frozen food, it is going to save you some time in the freeze drying process. So downstairs I have the Harvest Right freeze dryer cooling down. I want to get it to at least 32 degrees Fahrenheit before I add these trays, but I wanted to work on getting these all busted up and laid out on my trays to make sure I had enough room for all of them. Okay, I have these green beans that I put them in frozen, so that was kind of an experiment. And from the process of freezing until it went to vacuum freezing was significantly shorter. I want to say it was about 4.5 hours from the time that I put them in to when it switched over from freezing to vacuum freezing. I would say that the drying time of the green beans from frozen was about the same time. So the time that you're saving is in the freezing, not necessarily in the drying process. Now these had been in the freezer since probably, I don't know, anywhere from the end of June to early July, and it's now March. So it was time to really get them out and get something done with them. You can see that this tray here and this tray down here are probably from the first batch, the first pickings. They're in perfect condition, I would say. These here are either older or they possibly got some freezer burn on them. But I think they taste just the same. They're very crisp, you know, crunchy, they snap. To me, they taste like similar to the flavor that you get from veggie straws. But I'm going to package these up because I love green beans. I think they're great in green bean casserole. I think they're great fresh. I actually really like the flavor of them from the freeze dryer. They're crispy, they're crunchy, but they taste like a green bean. So I think these would be good to add to soups, add to casseroles. You can reconstitute them and cook them. These are not cooked. They were blanched before I froze them, but they're not technically cooked. So I'm going to put you on a time lapse. I'm going to add them to my Mylar bags, which I already have labeled here. I've got my oxygen absorbers down on the end, and then my impulse sealer is all set up and ready to go. All right, so, excuse me, I have the hiccups. So we ended up with 6 bags sealed with green beans, and the rest of them I kept out. I figured we can add these to soups or something.